So this is going to be more of a demo and to show off my favorite app here, which is called Sketch Club. I do have several of them on here, that different other apps that I use on here, but out of all of them, this is the one always seems to always be my go-to. So I'm going to draw this young lady here, and she's a Firth Law Office. I drew a few years ago. So real quick loose sketch to start off to get my shapes and everything down that I want to do here. I've talked before in my live caricature demo, and I talked about not using a pencil, which is kind of funny. I don't like to use a pencil when I draw live, but when I draw on the iPad, I find that I need to do a loose, rough sketch to give me my layout. Probably mainly because this is a lot smaller than a normal piece of paper I work on, so I'm doing a lot of zooming in and zooming out, so I need that reference. But when I draw live, this would all, of course, happen in my head. Here it's not. It's actually going to happen on paper. So, but what I'm doing here would be what I would consider one of my studio caricatures. It's not extremely detailed, but it's going to be more detailed than something I would do live at a party. These are the ones, most of the time if someone orders a Christmas card or retirement gift, this is the basic style that I'm doing. It's kind of an in-between. Like there again, like I said, it's not extremely detailed, but it's not it's a step up from what I would do live at a party because I've got more time. Now this lady here, I'm just kind of looking at her features and seeing, making some decisions about what I'm going to exaggerate. And what I love about exaggeration is, I've said it before, I could draw the same face probably 5 times, and I'll see something new and different every time. This lady here, of course, the first thing that stands out to me is her eyes are very, very distinct. She has a very small eyes for a lady, and they're kind of close set. I've said it before. I know people have been asking for more of this type of video where I'm actually talking through a sketch and sketching, but I really want to avoid getting into too much of this. I'm doing this video here more to show off this technology and to give you guys a look at that than I am to teach you caricature. Although I appreciate your kind comments, there's lots of guys out there that's done some really fantastic videos. But I do appreciate it. So that's part of why I'm doing this. So okay, not bad. Get that. And I think I've said before, if not, I'm saying it now. The more detailed, the more you want to get into a sketch, the more you'll spend on your structure. Don't disregard your pencil sketch, because that's your foundation when you're working in the studio. Now when you're working live, different story. You want quick. And the more you do it, the easier it'll get to do this in your head. And so that, all right. All right, so now I've got that done. I'm going to switch. Okay, you can see the layer. I'm going to drop that layer all the way to the bottom. I'm going to drop the opacity down just a hair, and I'm going to go up to the very uppermost layer. And there again, I want this to look somewhat similar to a traditional caricature, so I'm going to switch to my pen tool, and I'm going to use a pen on here called Thicker. Okay, it's already selected. All right, and now I'm going to we'll zoom right back in, and there again, here's another funny thing. Whenever I work live, I work from the outside in on a caricature. Studio, it's the opposite. I'll start with the innermost features, the nose. I call it the triangle. I think that's actually what a lot of artists call it that know anatomy. They start with what's called the triangle, which is this part right here. That's the triangle. Get the eyes and nose done first, and then you go back in and do the shape of the face. And there again, like I said, that's totally opposite of what happens live. But I guess I did start with the face shape when I was doing the initial sketch. But there again with detail. And every artist is different. Everybody's going to have a little bit different way of doing things. But see, I'm getting those nice detailed lines there. And I purposely picked a female to do this because one of the things, at least for me back when I was a new artist, and I know there's probably a lot of you guys watching this that are new artists, one of the biggest challenges for me was not only drawing women, females, but also doing long hair. And so I purposely picked this. So I think I've said before, I don't want to do a lot of these type of videos. I want to do one and it have enough information in it that, you know, one's enough. At least for my aspect. I've said it before, but I will say it over and over. You probably get sick of hearing me say it, but I want you to go watch other artists. Not that I don't appreciate you guys who've made nice comments and told me that I'm a good teacher and things like that. But one of the things that's helped me in my 25 years of doing this is once I learned to step out of my comfort zone and start studying some other artists. And along that same lines, I will say this. It's awesome that you like artists and like their style, but I would encourage you to develop your own style for what it's worth. That's something that took me a long time to figure out. For the longest time, I used to think, oh, you know, why can't I draw like Tom Richmond or CF Payne or whatever, and I would just get upset. But you have to realize that everybody's different, and we're all going to have our strengths and our weaknesses, and there's nothing wrong with learning those styles from those guys. But at the end of the day, it's really about developing your own style, and you're gonna learn things from so many different people, and I really feel like the more artists you study, good artists. People who are above your skill level. I will have to clarify that, because you can learn bad techniques from people too. So, all right. So I think I need to make that tooth a little longer too. See, I got her teeth. I made her teeth a little bit too short for her mouth. So, or I may have opened her mouth and I don't know. It's, you know, what's the thing is, you'll go through these things and you'll second guess yourself. It happens. All right. So what I was saying was, you know, there's nothing wrong with learning from different artists. But there again, I remember early on, when I first started at Carowinds, you know, I just thought, you know, because that's the only artist I'd been in my defense, that was the only artist I'd really been around was Dion, and not that he's not a good artist, but learning that Commons Art Shop's initial style that I learned at the amusement park you know, that was just the beginning. That was the first step into a bigger world. And then after Carowinds, after I left there and moved on to, I did Cedar Point, but after that, when I have to talk about the Caricatures Network again. When I got into the Caricatures Network and really started getting serious about improving, I started looking at other artists, and I went through this phase to where I would look at their work and it would just depress me, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to be that good. I'm never going to be able to draw like, insert your favorite artist. But one of the things that I've come to realize over the years is what a crappy world it would be if I could draw exactly like that artist. That's what makes what we do valid, and why people like doing this is because, when someone gets an Eric Melton caricature, they're getting an Eric Melton caricature. They're not getting a Al Hirschfeld caricature or a Mort Drucker. Although, it's, those guys are, I'm sure there's probably at least a good percentage of you guys listening know those names and know those are pretty much caricature gods to us that do this, because they were the pioneers, I guess you could say. What's funny is, I know most of those guys have passed away now, but if they were living, I'm sure that if you talk to any of them, they would tell you they had their heroes too. They had their people that they looked up to. So there's her hair getting done. But yeah, it's that's why I think I've said in one of my other videos that the caricature artist convention, although I don't get to go every year because it costs quite a bit of money, especially on a artist budget. I try to go every few years, and when you go, you have to go with the mindset of, don't go in there with if you don't have an ego, because you're going to get it crushed. I promise you. See, but let's see, why is that doing that? That's weird. Don't go in there with an ego, but at the same time, don't go in there and just be self-defeated. Don't let it defeat you. Let it inspire you. I'm not trying to tell you how to think, but actually I am. You gotta be inspired by these guys. That's what the whole point of it is. All right, so now that I've got her sketch done, I'm gonna go down to that bottom layer, and I'm gonna pick a really good light skin tone. It's pretty close, not real close to white, but there. And I'm gonna switch to my vector tool. There again, back to why I love this app so much. Watch what this vector tool does. It is amazing to me. I can just select, I can draw in the shapes. Actually, I'll do this. Watch this. If I was doing this live at like a function where people would actually hire me to do digital caricatures, I would basically be following this same process, but it would be a lot faster and be a lot less detailed. So I would still use this vector to fill in my major shapes, but I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be as like there's little white areas I may not worry too much about. I will go back and fix them, but if I was doing this live. And I know there's a lot of digital caricature artists who, that's the whole reason. And honestly, that was one of the reasons why I got the iPad was, I had this cool idea last year that we were going to just get swamped with all these people who wanted us for trade shows. But here in North Carolina, in Charlotte, it hasn't happened yet. So, but it still has not been a waste of money. It's still been a great tool it's really helped me for my gift caricatures, which is where I'd say a good 30-40% of my business is people retiring from places and people who want these for a Christmas card, or to give through that person in their family that has everything. Actually, oh yeah, real quick, while I'm thinking about it. Okay, you have an eraser tool on here. The problem with the eraser tool is it's always a soft edge. Well, you can pick different shapes for it, but I find it easier just to stick with the pen tool and go over here to the selections. And switch to, see, you got these different, you got overlay, you got multiply, screen, erase, on, and over. Over, of course, colors, erase will erase. So I usually just switch to that erase when I need to erase something or make it white again. Okay, now I'm going to go back. I'm going to switch back to that vector. And I'm going to switch to a really nice dark gray. Even when I have black in a photograph or for a jacket or something, I never go 100% black because it will blend. Of course, obviously it would blend in with the line work, and you don't see any detail. I was having a discussion over Christmas with some of my family. We were discussing whether black was a color or not. And at first I said, well, it is. It's not a color. It's absolute light. But in the artist world, it actually is a color because it is made up of color. Okay, and what I'm doing now is I just selected this area, and this is another one of my favorite things about this app. You see all these brushes here? You can actually download brushes. Okay, I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to switch to a blue. I'm not going to make her pattern exactly like what she has on her shirt, but I'm going to use this nice polka dot pattern, and watch that, boom, boom, boom. And it's done. So, and then I'll select the other half. You can download these different brushes depending on what your needs are. I think it looks pretty cool. Not exactly what she has on, but close enough. And then I'm going to switch to a black, and I'm going to take that down, take that down. We'll select everything again. I did that first one in two pieces. I'm going to do the second part. And we'll see what that ends up doing. I don't like that. So I'm going to make that bigger and see what that does. There we go. That's cool. And then maybe come back over it again. Yeah, I don't like that either. Let's try something different. Let's switch to a different. I probably, if I wanted to, I probably could go on the. I could probably find something that was closer to what she has on, or if I was actually doing a digital painting, I may be more apt to go try to get it exact. But what I'm doing here, I consider a kind of an in between. This is not going to be, a super. Let's just switch to a super detailed caricature, but there again, it's not a quick sketch either. So I'm still trying to make it look cool. Okay, all right. So we're going to deselect all this. Deselect. Same process. All right. Actually, I actually messed up a little bit right there. See, I was doing all that on that bottom layer. I actually usually switch up to another layer, the next layer above it, and the reason for that is the only problem with that now, that's pretty much stuck there, because if I would go in and monkey with it too much, it would mess up the picture. I mean, as much as you can mess up a digital picture, because like I said before, you can go back and fix pretty much anything. Switch to my add, so go ahead and select both of those sides. All right, I'm just going to use a regular soft A2 pencil 2B. I'm going to go all the way to black. Keep that opacity down to about 40%. I'm going to go up pretty big on my lens. Pencil size. And I'm going to go in and start. Now I'm just kind of, adding shadow and for jackets like this, I usually don't do a whole lot. I just want it to look fairly smooth and try not. It's real easy to overdo it. I just try not to overdo it so that I get still see those details in there. That it shows it's got some shadow where the folds are. So I'm going to switch to my eraser tool. See in there, I said that eraser's smooth. So I got that a little bit too dark there, I think, and for my taste. So some of these things I'm telling you will be a matter of your preference. All right, so we'll go back to our select, deselect, and I'm going to go back to that bottom layer because I forgot to color her eyes in. She looks like she's got kind of greenish blue, so I'm going to. If I want to, I can just use a. Oops. No, I can't. I thought I was going to flood fill that, but nope. Do a color. Color. Okay. And I'll go ahead and switch to. Let's go back to that skin tone, and then I'm going to go ahead and take that down to the. And I'll go ahead and throw some lip color in there while I'm on that bottom layer. See how I went out of line a little bit there? And see, when I zoom in, I see where I missed some spots on her teeth. And I don't know if I've said it before, but I think my buddy Jeff Mangum, he said it best. He said that digital is just another way to erase. And it is, to be honest with you. I mean, as cool as it is to be able to fix mistakes and stuff, it's also just another way to draw. Okay, I got that done. All right, so we're going to go back up to that next layer above. Now, this is really neat. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select that. I'm going to go down to what I would consider my shadows. And there's a couple different ways you can do them. One of the things I've been doing lately is I've started doing them with vector shapes, and then you'll see in a second. I'm going to block everything in that I want for shadow. I know it looks weird at the moment, but it'll look really neat in a minute. Even got that piece of hair hanging on. I messed that one up. My buddy Jeff says that, it's a way to erase quicker, and he's right. If you're a good artist, you're a good artist. You still have to practice. You still have to work at it. I don't care what you're doing. Technique wise, you've got to work at your craft. Right, so now I got those in there. I'm gonna smudge them all out. I'm gonna make it pretty big. This is not really exact. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just because once I get these smudged to where there's more soft shadow, I'm gonna drop this opacity down so that they're not so harsh. And there, like I said before, depending on how detailed you want your picture to be, you can do this same process over and over. I'm going to erase a little bit of that out right there. I want to see just a little bit. even when I draw the opacity down, it might be too dark. So smudge, smudge, smudge. That's one of the fundamentals of art is blending and knowing where to have your shadows. That's a big. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that opacity down to about 50%. And you see what it did there? So that's laid in some shadows for me. And I think that one on her nose is still a hair dark, so I'm gonna take the eraser tool, make it really small, because you want that little bit of right there. It's real easy to overdo. Depending on what I'm working on, that's one of the things that I've always been. Well, actually, I haven't always been. I used to be more harsh, but as I've gotten older and gotten stronger in my skills, I've found that sometimes less. Actually, a lot of times less is more. The more subtle you can be with something, the better your work's going to be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and merge that layer down, create, and go up to another one. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select her whole face and neck. And I'm going to switch. I'm going to get her, grab her skin tone, and I'm going to go just a little bit stronger and pinker. Go back to that brush, just that soft. Well, actually, the 4H pencil is soft. And now I'm going to go in. Okay, make that a little bigger. And I'm going to go in and just start adding some more pinks. Where look there again, looking at my photo reference. I think I've said it before. A good photo reference can make or break one of these from photos. Make that brush bigger and drop that opacity, and we'll start putting in some highlights here. Working subtle, big strokes, and then drop the size of the brush, bring up the opacity, and then start getting maybe some more of those strong highlights in there. You know, some of that's going to be individual style of how much or how little you want to do with that. It depends on what you're doing. So get those in there. Again, drop it. And she needs a little bit right there in her ear. I'll put it right there, actually. Right there. Right there. And then blend. Back to my smudge. You know, and as you throw those midtones and those highlights in there, that's what helps define your three-dimensional shapes. I may even go back here to a really dark brown and just really subtly go back and draw those details out even more. So a lot of what I'm doing now is, you know, that's artist preference. Everybody's going to be different. You're going to be different. You're not going to do it like me. At least I hope you don't. I hope you're going to do you. You know, at least later on, once you get your if you're watching this and you're a new artist, you know, after you get your training wheels off, or if you're someone who's had some experience, and you know, I hope I'm somebody you're watching to hopefully get a different aspect on. That's what's I can't talk enough about the Caricatures Network and the different artists. Everybody's different. And she has really red eyebrows. I'm going to switch to a pen tool and I go almost 100% opacity, draw way down. I'm going to go ahead and detail that in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to do the hair. And I'm going to, same principle, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the add. And that's another thing I really like about this app is, see how I did, selected that, and I could go back and add, so I can add more to the selection. See, I messed up right there, so I'm going to go to subtract, and I'm going to deselect that part. All right, so we're going to go back to our brush. Now, in doing the hair, I'm going to switch to a dark, and I'm going to switch to my brushes. I can pull my brushes up, and you can download different brushes. I think I may have said that already, but you can download different brushes for this thing, and they're, from everything I've seen so far, has been free. Of course, I had to pay for the app, but all the brushes, it's amazing, all the brushes they have on here. I have a hairbrush on here, but can't seem to find it. There it is, at the very top. Okay. And let's go up to about 100% opacity. And start putting in those dark areas. Alright, so I'm going to switch that, take that opacity down now. And zoom in so you can see a little better. See what I'm doing there? See how that's giving me that hair? And this is pressure sensitive. So the harder I press down, the wider they get. This brush honestly took me a little bit to get used to. When I first used it, I was like, this thing sucks, but now I've gotten some use out of it. See, you have to kind of work. I found a lot of the brushes and a lot of the things on here, you almost have to work. For me, it's backwards. Maybe it's because I'm left-handed, but I feel like you have to kind of work backwards. Okay, so there's that. Then I'm going to go in and actually go to white, but I'm going to throw some color. I don't want it to be 100% white, so I'll throw a little bit of color in there, and we'll go ahead and throw some highlights in. And this here's one of those things, man. You can spend a long time on hair if you want to. There again, depends on how detailed you want to get. All right, so I'm going to call that side done. Or done for now. Because what I'll do at the end of this thing, I'll go back and I'll go back and nitpick it, and I'll go back and fix little things here and there to make it until I consider it done. Going back to that hair, going back to that dark. Dark enough. Fill that in good. And then right here's going to be a lot of dark, so okay, now I'm just going to switch my brush out. I'm going to switch just back to one of those regular pencil brushes, and I'm going to go pretty high on the opacity and real low on the side, and I'm just going to start throwing in a couple individual strands of hair. And like I said just a minute ago, I'll go back and fix some of those. See where I had that selection, it wasn't really. So you kind of just go in and fill that in. Make sure that get all your little areas, and start putting some darker areas in there. Basically, I'm following the same pattern I did with the original black line. You gotta make sure your hair, see, I don't like those. You gotta make sure your hair goes in the right direction. Hair has direction. Okay, now the hair's done. I'm gonna go back in here and do the eyes. So I'm gonna actually select these. Go to my add. I'll find that the eyes are very, very, very important. You know, keeping in mind it is a caricature, it's not a portrait, but still you want to try, you want somebody to look at this and recognize the person. Switch to, see, I'm going to put a little bit of a texture on that lip. Just gives a little bit of, switch back to our soft brush. And we're going to go dark. And red on that top lip. Subtleties. I think that's one of the biggest things with art, any kind of art, is to know what to make stand out and what to not. That's what makes it or breaks it. I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day on this one. We'll go ahead and bring her back up. Okay, actually I'm going to bring her up to that top layer. Go back to that bottom layer, and I'm going to switch back to my vector. And then I'm going to select, see over here you got your shapes, you get your lines and things. I'm going to switch to square. And I'm going to pick a nice neutral grayish color for the background. And watch this, this is so neat. To kind of frame her up a little bit and throw that color behind her. And then I'm going to go to my select. I'm going to select that because, see, I've got that square thing. Then I'm going to make sure and switch that back to freehand, and then I'm going to go to my brush, and I'm going to pick one of my textures, and I'm going to go to a white, and we're going to go almost real big on the brush, and we're going to go real light on the, and then I'm going to just go ahead and throw some texture in there to give that a little bit of oomph. Maybe get a little bit lighter, stronger right around her. And then we'll select, deselect, go to our pen tool, go to black, and we're going to sign this baby and call it done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.